want to show you just a bunch of different videos here, a bunch of different examples of how cool this satellite has been. And big shout out to Gloria Perez behind the scenes for putting these all into my Telestrator so I can draw on them like this. And it's like 10 videos straight. So it was a big ask, and I certainly appreciate all the work behind the scenes on this show. All right, let's talk actiniform clouds. Be real with you guys. I had not heard of these until I saw this today. Kind of leaf-shaped clouds. And this was in the Pacific Ocean. Really kind of a close-up here. This was back in 2008. Amazing view. I was actually trying to look these up a little bit, too, online. And they're still, like, the jury's still out on these a little bit. We don't know the exact process in which they form. But I'm telling you, if you're a weather geek and you're looking for just some interesting things to look at, just look in the Pacific Ocean, especially the East Pacific, somewhere close to the coast, almost on any given day. If you can find some high-resolution satellite imagery, just look at that stuff. You're going to always find something interesting, at the very least some vortices and things like that. It's just absolutely awesome. All right, this was a big one back in 1993. And look at the difference in the resolution, by the way. This is GOES 7. What are we up to now? 19?
19.
We're on GOES 19 now, so there have been a lot more that have been sent up, and there are always continuous improvements. Let me fast forward this a little bit. Who remembers the storm of the century? Here's where it started, and then it ended up just being this massive storm up along parts of the eastern United States. I mean, there were parts of even Alabama that had, what, like a foot of snow, something like that? It was just an outrageous storm, just a huge swath of snow up here, big blizzard, massive amount of wind as well. If you go to meteorology school, you will see a textbook that has that on it. I guarantee it. At least one of them. Probably your synoptic meteorology class, which means large-scale meteorology. Here's another good one that the GOES satellite took. This is back in 2006. And again, you know, this was pretty high resolution for back in the day, I would say. I mean, obviously now, you know, with some of the space photography that's going on as technology has improved, you know, it might not look all that spectacular, but you got to keep in mind, back in 06, that was a pretty solid shot, I would say. Speaking of the 2000s, here's my graduating year of high school, 2003. Wouldn't you know it, Chris? I lived in Wisconsin at the time. Didn't even know this was going on. The Great Halloween Solar Storm.
Didn't even care?
Great. It was good aurora from this, I would imagine, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there had to be.
Probably the best of the decade.
Oh, my goodness. It was going on right outside my window, and I didn't even know it was happening. Now, again, I'm not an expert on this. I've learned a little bit more than I previously knew over the last couple of weeks, but I would imagine that this is probably the storm going on right there. Yeah, there it is. The big, great Halloween solar storm, late October through early November of 2003. As I recall, this one had some impacts on the infrastructure, I believe. Now it's starting to come back a little bit. All right, let's move on to the next one. What do we got here? All right. Oh, Hurricane Harvey back in 2017. Now, with Hurricane Harvey, one thing you got to keep in mind is it was really remembered a lot for the amount of flooding that it caused, you know, up around the Houston area. And obviously, rightfully so, it was completely devastating flooding because once this moved inland, it just kind of set up shop. It ended up cut off from the main flow. It wasn't moving very much, and there was just an ungodly amount of tropical moisture. We had like 60-plus inches of rain in some areas. But what people forget is that when this made landfall, it was a Category 4 hurricane. Rockport, I believe, is pretty close to where it made landfall there. And, you know, up until some of the recent ones like Melissa, the video from the landfall of Hurricane Harvey is some of the wildest wind video that you will see that exists on the internet. Charlie, 2004 comes to mind. That's a good one to go look up. There's a great video of these chasers out at a gas station, and the whole roof of the gas station gets ripped off. There are very few videos online that really show just the absolute ferociousness of the eye wall of a hurricane, and Hurricane Harvey is definitely one of those. But yeah, this is when we were starting to get into the higher resolution stuff back in the mid to late 2010s. Really good stuff. And yes, this was a very bad storm, obviously. Big Hurricane Harvey right there. It really is amazing the variety of things that the GOES satellites can capture. Look at this. This was the Palisades fire right here and the Eaton fire back in just January of this year. And I think this gives you an idea of how far things have come with the improvements in the satellites because, I mean, the resolution on that is just outrageously good. Now, obviously, terrible to have the fires that were going on there. And actually, the burn scars from these are still playing into some of the flooding that's going on with some of the heavy rain that we've had around there recently. Here's a cool one that you probably wouldn't think of. Sometimes a satellite can pick up a meteor. Like the actual, what it's picking up is the explosion of the meteor. So this is the visible satellite. We'll zoom into it a little bit here. So it's this area right here. This was back in 2022, early January. Let me see if I can pause it right on it. Okay, I did it. And there it is. Just the, the explosion of the meteor, or the meteorite, I should say, kind of goofing up the data a little bit and making it look weird so you could actually see it. This was the massive tornado outbreak that we had back in April 27th of 2011. Just one of the most devastating days in weather history. We had 4 EF5 tornadoes in one day, several EF4s as well. I can just look at these and, basically, I've seen this event so many times, just tell you which ones are which. This is probably the Phil Campbell Hackleburg tornado, which went up through here, North Alabama. Got the Henniger EF5 over there. This was the Smithville, Mississippi one. Just that's a satellite image you're not going to see for a very long time. That's a once-in-a-generation event. We had another event like this back in the 70s. And I feel like the current day and age, it's the day and age of overhyping everything. And I'm not saying we haven't had bad tornado outbreaks since then, but every time I see somebody throw this around when they're talking about an event that's going to happen, it's not even remotely close, guys. Like, we've had nothing remotely close to April 27th, 2011 since that's happened. We've had some bad tornado outbreaks, but this is just on a different level. Trust me when I say that. 2 more. Let's go back to Mount St. Helens. All right, so I'm going to press play on this. This is another one, 1980. This is another one that I like to watch because it really shows just how far we've come with this technology. Look at that. I mean, the amount of time in between scans here, we're probably talking like 15 minutes at the very least, maybe even more than that. And now we have such high resolution that it'll be only 1 minute in between scans. So it looks just so fluid. It looks so smooth, and you can see all the little details. Here's another cool one, record-breaking lightning flash. Back in 2017, this was a lightning flash that spanned over 500 miles, and I know it's tough to tell with the background of the map here, but that's between Texas and Missouri.